Good morning. I'm Darrell Pinnell. I'm the Chief of the Bureau of Facilities for the Department of Public Works. And on behalf of the county, I'd like to welcome you to our county's P3 Industry Day for our new courthouse. In a few short weeks, we'll actually start the formal procurement process. We're excited that you came to see us today because we're excited to share with you our project and our vision for the new courthouse. And for today's agenda, we're going to start with 3 county officials that will give you their vision of the courthouse and the need for the courthouse. So if you'll help me welcome our first speaker today, our county executive, the Honorable Alan Kittleman.
I'm being recorded. Uh-oh. But will there be tapes? Hold it close. Okay, there it is. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate the interest you have in this project. This is something that's been a long time coming. I've lived in Howard County all my life, and if you have been here for a long time like I have, you know that we've had a courthouse that, while we certainly have great people inside the building, we could use a lot better building to provide the services we need for our community. So that's why we're here today, is to let you guys know more about that, and so you guys can ask whatever questions you need and to get information you have. So I know, are you speaking later, Lonnie, or not? Oh, I want to introduce our Chief Administrative Officer, Lonnie Robbins, is here. He's kind of the point person from my office onto it. I appreciate it. I know Judge Gelfman will be speaking, though, right? So, and I think Councilman Weinstein's coming as well. Okay, good. Couple things we'll show. Here is the existing courthouse. As you see, it's 174 years old. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. But we could certainly have one that's a little more useful for us. It's a great location in the sense of in the county seat and being in downtown Ellicott City, but it really does not meet the needs that we need right now. So we have had growth in Howard County. I've been here, like I say, all my life. So in 1970, I was 12 years old. Now we had 61. Now we're up to over 300,000 people. As you may have heard, we have been authorized to have a 6th Circuit Court judge, but we have not had that person be appointed because we don't have a location for that person to sit. So we really need to have more done. And we've had some renovations done in the past, but we just can't keep on doing that. As you'll see as these come up, when I was a kid, everything was in the courthouse. Everybody, all the services were in the courthouse. We had the sheriff's office there. We'd have land records there. You had state's attorney's office there, as you see, and other groups. Now they're spread throughout Howard County. Again, not the best useful for our community, not the best thing for our residents. So it makes a lot more sense to have them all back together. This is one that Judge Gelfman has been very, very kind and patient about, and the judges. And she can probably talk about this better than I can, she may later, is that we are required to allow electronic filings. And our courthouse just isn't made to have some of that technology. And so they've worked very well with our folks from our Department of Technology and Communication Services to try to get things there, but it's just very difficult. We need to have a state-of-the-art courtroom. We need to have one that can also do the things that people need to do now to present their cases. I'm a recovering attorney, and I've tried cases in that courtroom. Now, I don't do a whole lot of big cases, but I know with bigger cases, you'd have to have a lot of resources and ability to do technology, and we just don't have that right now. Security issues, I'll let the judge maybe talk about that, but there are issues with making sure that the people who work in our courthouse are secure, especially our judges and folks who work in the courtrooms. And, of course, ADA compliance. It's a historic building, and that's great, and I want it to stay a historic building, and hopefully we'll have some really great things happening to the courthouse in the future, but it doesn't meet all the needs of all of our residents and those especially with some special needs. There, I think that's a good picture right there. We have people who are in little cubby holes, different places, crunching around, trying to get things done, and we have courtrooms that certainly aren't large enough for major cases and for to get things done. We already talked about the technology. That's what I guess it looks like. I haven't seen that myself, but I guess that's what it's like over there. And then we talked about security as well. Hallways where we have the criminal defendants walking the same places as some of our folks who work there, which really isn't the best thing to have. If Mary Kay Siggety, our councilwoman, was here, she would tell you the story of how she was sitting on the steps while she was waiting to be called for jury duty because there was no room for her. And there's no room for folks. I mean, it's just not, doesn't work. And if we're going to ask our residents to come and be on a jury, which is what we require in our society to be able to work, to make sure we have a jury of our peers, we want to make sure it's not something that's really, it's already difficult for them to take, maybe miss a couple of days from work or more, but to tell them they got to sit on a hallway on some steps while they're waiting in between, it's just not appropriate. And we need to have facilities for them. We need to make sure that they're treated well. And also for those who are actually going to be deliberating. Law libraries for those, and it's not, first thing I also want to say is the courtroom is not, this courthouse is not for the lawyers. Some people say that to us sometimes. Oh, you're just building this for the lawyers. It's not for the lawyers. It's for the people who the lawyers represent maybe, but it's also for people just to come and have the place to go where they need to have their services. I mean, it's not about the lawyers. Having a law library, though, is certainly helpful, not just for the lawyers, it's for others as well. And of course, that as well. We need to have the ability for people who are there during the day, if you're there like in jury duty, to be able to get some refreshment, to have some, a meal, or, and for civil ceremonies, as you see for marriages. That I think we've kind of already talked about, that lack of office space, difficult working conditions. Then now, do I get to turn it over to her? I get to turn it over to her. Here, hey, sit down a second. Wait till I finish. No, I just have such great respect for this person. Judge Gelfman, I've known for a long time. I just told the judge to sit down. I'm in big trouble. Gosh.
Can you do it?
Please forgive me should I have to lose this job and have to practice in front of you. But really, she is the reason we are where we are today. We had been talking about this for 15, 20 years. But Judge Gelfman has taken upon herself to make sure that we had everybody knew the reason why we had to have a new courthouse and the importance of it to our community. And so I am just so thankful that she has been on our team as opposed to being against us, because she is such an ardent advocate for this, and she can give you probably a better explanation of why this is important, more so than I can. So our administrative judge, Judge Lenore Gelfman. Your time. You may approach the podium. No.
I have not lived in Howard County my whole life, and I've been on the bench since 1989, but I was a negative number when I was appointed. So for those mathematicians, you can work on that one. I want to acknowledge a few people in the audience. One of my colleagues was kind enough to come. Judge Richard Bernhardt is here. My court administrator, Jen Kaiser, and my deputy court administrator, Lisa Mohink, both kind enough to come, and I thank them, and they support me every day. And if you know how many, if you would know how many people it takes to keep a judge on track, you would probably be surprised. Most of us, we go where we're told to sit. We go the cases we're told to hear, and we depend heavily on excellent support staff, and fortunately, in Howard County Circuit Court, we have that. I want to thank County Executive Kittleman and Lonnie Robbins and Darrell Pawneal and Jim Irvin, all from the county, and the County Council. The collaborative support has been wonderful. And I think all of you vendors and general contractors, subcontractors, architects, you understand why it's so important that we have a collaborative effort, because it takes everyone's cooperation and understanding so that we can achieve our goal. We do need a new courthouse, circuit courthouse in Howard County. The building is beautiful from the outside. It's majestic, it's stately, it's very, very pretty. Unfortunately, inside is not functional. With the increase in population, we have, I think, roughly 300,000 people in the county, and still growing. New businesses are moving into Howard County routinely. Well, with new businesses comes those folks to support the businesses, as well as their families. And that means business cases, medical malpractice cases, tort cases, slip and fall cases, contract cases, divorce cases, DWIs, the whole gamut. It increases the caseload. And it's on that basis of case filings that we in Howard County have been designated to have a sixth judge, and I think that's been in place for 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't have a place to put a sixth judge. And we have to certify to the legislature that not only we have the demand, the case demand for the sixth judge, but we have a place to put him or her and the staff and all of the support, court reporters, what have you, that go with it. And we don't have the space. We have staff working literally on top of one another. It's a maze for people to come into the building to find where they need to go. We have signage, and Daryl has been extremely supportive and helpful, as has Jim, in helping us with signage. But the building is old, and it's just not conducive to modern technology needs. County Executive Kittleman touched on MDEC, Maryland Electronic Filing. We are supposed to roll out in August. August is kickoff. I don't know how we're going to do it. We're going to do the best we can, but it's mandatory for the state that all counties and Baltimore City are under MDEC, and we're rolling out in different phases. Federal courts have been using federal courts using filing, electronic filing for years, and the state is doing the same to increase the efficiency for the litigants and the lawyers. And County Executive Kittleman touched on another issue too. The courthouse is not just for the judges and the lawyers. Many more people we're finding are pro se or self-represented. They need the accommodations like the law library and meeting space. The lawyers, when they come with their clients, they need appropriate meeting space. The court represents the third branch of government, the judiciary. We need to have not only a dignified and stately place, but an atmosphere, both outside and inside, that projects that we do serious business and that we take everyone's matters seriously. Giving lawyers and litigants a proper space to meet, not sitting over a recycle bin or a vending machine, which is the only food we have in the courthouse for folks. And because of the topography, we're up on a hill, it's not conducive to have folks go out, get a quick lunch, and come back. They can't do it. Most people have to drive, and that's another impediment. The site itself is not conducive to expansion. We're in a historic district, and we naturally need to have an area that's ADA compliant, and County Executive touched on that we're not. So I think we have some slides to show you, and I'd like to comment on them as we go along. This is a picture of a modern-looking courthouse. Now, it doesn't have to be modern. It could be more traditional-looking. But the point that I'm trying to make is it's a building that's open and accessible and looks dignified and stately, and that's what we're looking for. This is an open area. This is another courthouse, another type of design, but the point is that it's open and accessible for folks to physically get to, still having lighting and security ballards, which are also needed. This is a main lobby of a courthouse, and some people will say, well, gee, why do you need it so open? Why do you need it so big? Why can't you just use the square footage for more office space? There are a few reasons, and let me touch on a few of them. Many psychologists and court experts have said, and security experts, oh, and I forgot to mention somebody, Sheriff McMahon is here, and I thank him for being here as well. The sheriffs are responsible for security in the courthouse, and oftentimes it is said that when it's an open space, a light space, it's less of a temptation for someone who wants to do no good to do it. Also, when it's an open space, whether it's to respond to a medical emergency or a security emergency, the law enforcement has the ability to do that and safely move folks along in an efficient and secure manner. But you want it open, you want it bright, and anybody remember the scene from The Fugitive where Harrison Ford is exiting the building and Cook County Circuit Court, and it's a big, big area, and then, he's trying to get through the doors, and, the doors are going, eh, eh. Well, it's a big area, and he got through, but the point is that it's supposed to be an area that's efficient and safe, and that's why you want it wide and open. This is a courtroom, a typical courtroom. As you see, the bench is at 12 o'clock. You see the flags on either side of where the judge would sit. The jury box is, say, 9 o'clock. Your 2 rows of jurors. In a criminal jury in the state of Maryland, we have 12 persons. By amendment, in a civil jury, we have 6. You also have alternates, meaning that those extra individuals have to have heard all of the testimony and evidence in a case, so that if an alternate needs to replace a principal juror, he or she has heard all of the evidence straight away. And this is showing a 2-tier jury box, which is nice. And the second tier, of course, is elevated so that those jurors can also see what's going on in the courtroom. You can also see in the foreground there are several trial tables, and when you have multiple defendants or multiple plaintiffs, whether it's a civil or criminal case, that well, as we call it, of the courtroom, that center area, can accommodate the attorneys and all of the parties, and they can easily see what's going on. The jurors can see them and so forth. There's a witness box, I think, just to the left of the United States flag there, court personnel and so forth. Oh, no, is to the right, the witness box, and court personnel to sit to the closer to where the United States flag is in this particular view. And you see the pews in the area here. I don't know how many pews there are here. Our largest courtroom holds 74 people, which frankly is not enough. If we have a jury panel, and I'll speak about that in a while, we can't get 100 people in there, which is often necessary. So, but this is a functioning, modern-looking courtroom where technology, and you can see the monitors that everyone can see the exhibits and so forth real time. And we can go on to the next one if you like. Okay, jury assembly room. Our jury assembly room seats, Jen, help me out, 70 people? 70 people. It's not enough, and let me explain what the point of it is. Jurors are not defendants. They are to do their civic duty, but they're the finders of fact. To that extent, they're lateral to a judge. Judge in a jury trial instructs on the law and he calls the balls and strikes, if you will, but the jurors are the finders of fact, and the jurors should be treated accordingly with that respect. They are often in the courthouse for hours. Let me explain. There are multiple jury trials going on. You bring in panels of jurors. Depending in a criminal case, what the possible penalty could be in a criminal case determines how many jurors you're going to bring in, because it determines how many strikes or challenges each side can make. What ends up happening, particularly in a criminal trial, a one-day case, which we don't have very often, let's say a two-day case. A two-day case ends up being 3 or 4 days, and so on and so forth. Same thing with a medical malpractice case, because what you find is the longer a case is, the more complex it is, the more salacious the issues are, the more difficult it is to impanel a jury. Folks can take off for a day or two, but for them to take off a week or 2 or 3 or 4 is really quite a burden on them. So we have to bring in a sufficient number of individuals called the panel, from which a jury will be picked for a particular case. So this is where the panels would sit. We have such a small room now, they can't use Wi-Fi, they can't, there's no place for them to eat. I did bring in a coffee machine, and some people said, oh, gee, you're spending money for a coffee machine. I said, yes, and I'm bringing in a water machine too. I mean, I don't think that is unreasonable. But we do tell folks on the jury summons that we don't have food readily available. So if they have health issues, what have you, diabetes, what have you, they have to take medicine, they need refrigeration, we need to know ahead of time so we can make proper arrangements for them. But anyway, this is a modern jury assembly room, and you can see the monitors around the perimeter, and which will allow them to view what they need to see. Courtroom, not courtroom movies, but tapes, movies of procedure and policy. Okay. Is that it? That's it. Nobody held up a red flag or a red sign? I think I'm good. Thank you very much. Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judge. Now I would like to now, I'm going to be introducing the chairman of our county council, and I just wanted to make it very clear that the county council and the executive branch are completely in sync on this. We have worked really, really well together. We just passed our budget with the funding for the courthouse from the public side, and it was unanimous, 5-0. And so I just want to make sure everyone knows in the room that this is a project that we are all committed to. And I'm very, very thankful for the chairman's work on it, and I wanted to make sure I got a chance to introduce him and thank him publicly for all his help. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Good morning. I'm John Weinstein. It's up there. Actually, I was here last night for a planning board here, and they spelled my name wrong. So I appreciate that it's right in this one. So I'm John Weinstein, the current chair of the council. Also, the current courthouse is in my district. So I look at all of you as people who are going to take a great asset out of my district. So but in all seriousness, we're very excited about that, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Two other things. You heard the judge speak. You clearly heard a requirement. Our doors have to go when you're coming in and out of the building, so make sure that you heard that. I point out the requirement because one thing I'd like to offer, so if you're not familiar with Howard County, my job is a part-time job. People who do know the county will laugh at this point. But my other job is I'm a government contractor, right? So I have sat, this is actually my first time on this side of the aisle, and I'm trying to enjoy it a bit, because sitting on your side, I know how important it is to get as much information as possible about what you may or may not decide to do with regards to bidding on this project. It is critical that you take advantage of this opportunity and ask all the key questions. And I will tell you and reinforce what the executive just said, you are looking at a community that is wholly behind this effort. Okay, so I know as a person who has sat in your position, I've heard words and seen meetings or been in meetings where I'm walking out, I'm like, I'm not so sure that this has the support it needs to go forward. Now, they might award a contract, but is it going to get done? And I think you can look here and see the support we're getting here. The people who are here today, you can see that that support is there. That's a risk that you can either remove or make very low on your list of risks for doing for doing this particular project. So I just wanted to give you that by way of background in my own little personal perspective, having sat where you're sitting now. So one of the key things that I wanted to highlight, because you are going to be building an iconic facility in our county, it is an historic building in an historic place currently. All right, it's moving into a less historic place, but we can't lose that history. It has a rich history. It's reflective of the community that we are. Howard County is, if it hasn't already been said, it's the best place in America to be. I'm sorry if you don't live here, but you can move here. There's plenty of places to move. But it's critical that that history is conveyed into the new location and into the new building. Okay, we want to be able to embrace the building, embrace all that goes on there because of the history that it has provided us for the 100-and-something years. And it's about 100 years overdue for being replaced, but we do like those elements there. And then here's the thing. So we are moving it away from Ellicott City. Now, I'll be honest, I was a little concerned about moving it away from this site, but as I talk more, not only with the executive and the administration, but with the community as a whole, we started seeing the great opportunities. One, it's moving to a place where there's no commerce really going on. There's a Wendy's and a Pizza Hut, I think, and some offices off to the side. But that site will benefit from having the courthouse there. The opportunity for that area right around there, it's not in my district, but it's adjacent to my district. There's a village center nearby which will also benefit from commerce that might be coming because of the new location. Okay, so that's exciting. We're creating a new economic opportunity here in the county. But almost as importantly is we're looking at what can be done with the current site. Now, I don't know that that's necessarily your interest because you're interested in building the new place, but we're going to have somebody redevelop the old place, so you might want to keep that in the back of your head for a few years from now. That my community, in particular, we're very excited about the courthouse leaving because of what it allows us to do on the current site. I recommend you go there, take a look at it, and see not only the building itself and the history, as I alluded to earlier, but also the great town that it's in and what could possibly come of that location, that facility, with another purpose, right? So we're excited about all those elements there. So my intent really here was just to give you a quick overview of what it means to us to have this courthouse in a new place, a new facility, but holding on to and really reflecting the rich history that the current building and our community, the historic Ellicott City area, and Howard County in general, that our history here is important to preserve and promote. So with that, I'll just turn it back over, and thank you all very much for being here. It's great to see so many folks here, and good luck in your bid.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for those remarks, and we are very fortunate to have such leadership in the county. And those on that side of the aisle that does project management, you know what the great benefit is to have a dedicated client, to see the client take the project, not through conception, but all the way through award and construction. And that's really what we're dedicated to do. So let's talk a little bit about the project itself. The county seeks a private partner to deliver the best value for county-owned circuit courthouse and garage. And here's our specific objectives. We want to demolish the existing 200,000 square foot Dorsey building that's on the current site, which will be the home for the new courthouse. Construct a modern, secure 230,000 square foot courthouse with innovative design and engineering, along with the 600 space structured parking facility. We estimate the demolition and new construction to be around $140 million. We want to achieve LEED Silver certification or better. We're going to use a blended mix of county and private financing to complete the project. We expect high quality, long-term facility operation and maintenance of the facility during the term of the contract. This is the 27-acre county-owned site at 9250 Bendix Road. You can see on the site is the Thomas Dorsey building, 200,000 square feet, single-story construction, slab on grade, tilt-up construction, open web bar joists. Roughly 17 acres of the 27 acres is taken up by either the building, a couple of other small buildings you'll see, or the large asphalt parking lot. And specifically, the rest of the site is either asphalt parking lot, some curb and gutter. We have some soil borings for the site that we'll share and will be up on our website. We also have a phase 1 environmental study that was completed in 2005. We are updating it now. It will also be available on the website as well. For this project, we're going to offer roughly 14 acres to the concessionaire for the development of the new courthouse and garage. We have an existing underground AT&T right-of-way that will remain in place, but that will be outside of the area of consideration for your work. You can see there in green is the site that we're going to make available for the project required to build the courthouse, the garage, and the site plan will have to demonstrate there's room for a future building for the county's use at some later date. Right along that right edge there is diagonally is where the AT&T easement runs through the site underground. It will have to stay intact, operable the entire time during construction. It will be your responsibility to clear the entire site and make green what is not part of the actual courthouse or garage or your structure. So our delivery model, we want to procure and deliver the project as an availability-based P3. The concessionaire responsibilities are going to include design, construction, and commissioning of the courthouse, parking garage, and any authorized ancillary space. Private sector financing for the project to be specified in our project agreement. We expect the concessionaire to have the facility and operation of the courthouse, parking garage, any ancillary retail space, and surrounding ground and roads. And then you'll hand back the O&M of the county-owned facility at the end of the 30-year term. So here's the milestones that the county has completed to date. Circuit Courthouse program requirements is complete along with a master plan. Resolution 27-2017 confirming the support by the county council and the county executive was approved earlier this year. Approved county bond issuance covering the anticipated milestone payment was also approved earlier this year. And we have already secured financial, legal, and technical advisors to support our work for the project. The financial structure, we expect the total financing to be about $150 million. Public financing, $70 million to $90 million. Private financing, $60 million to $80 million. So Howard County payments, we will make a milestone payment upon occupancy of the facility. Funding included the approved FY18 capital budget for $105 million has been authorized. Availability payments. We expect them to be between $8.5 and $9 million per year. This is less than 1% of the county general fund operating budget. We make a point there to make sure you understand this is the project the county can well afford in the future. We'll begin occupancy for 30-year term subject to deductions for some optimal performance or for non-availability. The payments are secured by the council-approved multi-year contract consistent with the county charter and code. So our county bond rating has been AAA for 20 years in a row from all three national rating agencies. And this is important, I think really important. Howard County is one of only 43 counties of more than 3 counties nationwide to achieve this recognition. The county has never missed a bond payment to its bondholders. I think these two facts demonstrate Howard County's ability as a sound client going forward with this project. That we will make all the payments on time and consistently throughout the 30-year term of the contract. Our key procurement steps, request for expression of interest, July of this year, so only in a few weeks we expect to release the UI and start the formal procurement process. A maximum of top 3 ranked teams that participate in the EOI will move on to the RFP phase. Request for proposals will be issued in the fall of this year. We're going to have a dialogue with the top 3 teams to help finalize the project agreement. We have a goal of 10% for equal business opportunity subcontracting. I think there's a number of brochures we put out on the tables outside that can help you meeting that goal. The data room on our website will be open upon the RF release, and it'll have the information we spoke of, technical information, the program of requirements, other things as well. So we expect the competitive process to be completed by the third quarter of 2018. The P3 project agreement will have a $500,000 stipend for each unsuccessful but responsive team not receiving the award. I think it's another demonstration of our commitment to the project. This is the rough project timeline. We talked about the EOI coming out in the next few weeks. The RFP later in the early fall. We expect commercial close to happen quickly, and we would expect the design and construction to be a fast track where the two overlap. We'd like to see the design and the construction complete roughly 2 years after we get the financial close. This is the project team the county's put in place. I think the county understands the commitment level and the resources required to bring this P3 to financial close and to completion. The county executive is regularly briefed on the project status. Lonnie Robbins is the project director, the chief administrative officer of the county. I'm the project lead. And what you can see here is we've established advisory teams, or advisory committees, from the courthouse, because we know we want to bring this project to the finish with the end user in mind. And we've established financial teams that we think typically mirror the teams you'll see on the private side. We've got a financial team headed up by the Department of Finance, our procurement team, the Howard County Office of Purchasing, and the technical team is headed up by the Bureau of Facilities. The Office of Law is also part of the team, and they've also brought in consultants to help them through the process. So let me close by saying what you've already heard. The county is absolutely dedicated to completing this project on time. And we're dedicated to make the availability payments on time as well. So we really look forward to really any questions you have. And we'll open up the floor now to questions if anybody has anything. Please, if you have any questions, you're welcome to go to the podium and ask a question. We do want to record the questions and answers. Nothing?
Yeah, I'm Fred Woodward with Edwards & Hill Office Furniture, and I just want to know if the furnishings are going to be part of the construction development side. Or are you going to use your separate Howard County furniture contract like MAP in that end?
So we have set aside separate funds outside of the P3 contract for the acquisition and installation of the furniture. But I would say we'd probably have more information for you when we issue the RFP later this fall.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, two quick questions. The milestone payments, will any funds be made available prior to occupancy of the building? And is the team funding it up until that point? And second question, you mentioned $8.5 to $9 million will be available on an annual basis for payments. Does that include your debt service on the bonds, or is that strictly for the financial investment for the developer?
So let me say, with respect to the one-time payment, we expect one-time payment upon occupancy. So there'll be no payment throughout the construction process. The $8.5 to $9 million is our estimate of what we think the availability payment will be. Obviously, that'll be decided upon the competition. But with respect to outside maybe somebody from finance here can help me. Stan, did you want to take that question? Stan Molesky is the director of our finance department.
To answer your question, okay, the $8.5 to $9 million does not include the county's debt service obligation. That'll be separate. We're handling that at our end. So, okay.
Hello. Could you describe the approval process through financial close, what the county's approval process is for the agreement?
So,
Thank you.
so to give you an idea, so once we go through the EOI, we'll come into a short list. We go into the RFP process. I think we've agreed to send the county council the RFP for review prior to its issuance. We'll go through the RFP process, select a winner, and then before we actually make the award, it goes back to the county council for approval. We mentioned that multi-year agreement the county council has to approve prior to us actually entering into the agreement. So you'll see the county will demonstrate full support for the project before we actually make the award. So.
Hi, I'm Roger Lerner, a local lawyer and businessman. I'm also the president of the surrounding community, the Columbia Hills Meadowbrook Farms community. I'm here to reinforce that our community supports this courthouse and this project and the redevelopment of the site. We obviously are interested in having the interests of our community protected and the traffic and ingress and egress. But we want to work with the teams that develop this project from the beginning in a cooperative fashion. We're here to partner with you, not to impede.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Barry Catterton with CES Consulting. Just a quick question. I know this type of project, the challenge can be in the level of service expectations for the systems for the courthouse. I guess just trying to see your confidence level of those details being ironed out up to this point.
So we have engaged a number of consultants to help us through the project. On the technical side, we've got a team in place that includes architects, engineers, building operators to help us through the development of the RP requirements for the operation of the courthouse once we take it on. So, and we do have financial consultants already in place, and we have attorneys in place on our side to help us develop the P3 documents.
Okay. Just have a follow-up question as well, unrelated. The testing and inspections for the project, is that being handled through your open-end contracts that the county has, or will this be a separate solicitation, say for QA inspection?
I would say if
for
the county
materials?
introduces its own QA, we would use our current open-end contracts to do that.
Keith Ventures, good morning. When the doors open, about how many years do you expect to satisfy the court's growth needs within the new building? Are you planning for 15 years out, 30 years out? How long?
Well, we are planning for 8 court sets that we think is going to be the 30 to 35-year need for the courthouse.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Catherine Pinkard with Pinkard Properties. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the equal business opportunity call out, specifically as it relates to a material role for woman-owned or minority businesses on the development side?
So we would expect the 10% goal to be met by the concessionaire, and we expect the concessionaire to submit a plan for our review during the RFP process.
Thank you.
Nothing else? Listen, thank you for coming. We're excited to see you here. We appreciate your time.
Nat Turner, MBT Consulting. You talked about LEED Silver. Could you talk a little bit about the sustainability aspects in terms of, are you going to use solar or LED lighting and things of that nature with the project?
LEED Silver is what the county requires as a minimum for new construction. I would imagine a building this size might become a higher rating than that. With respect to the specific design components of the building, we kind of leave that up to the concessionaire. It's really part of the design requirement on their end, and it will be part of the really their scoring when it comes down to scoring the actual design. So we don't specify that as part of the design, only that they meet LEED Silver. So.
Good morning, Zach Sharif with Allen Sharif. Your existing consultants that you have, are they allowed to participate in the upcoming venture, or are they restricted out because they have been part of that process?
No, they're restricted. If they're working for us now, they cannot participate on the private side.
Right, thank you.
So, sure. Well, thanks again for coming, and I think in 3 to 4 short weeks you'll see the release of the EOI. Thanks again.